dear CRAs and CRA aficionados. Daniel here again, owner of the CRAcoach.com, and bringing you another video today with some tips and tricks all around being a CRA. The thing I want to talk about today is the topic of monitoring visits and how do you prepare if you're new to being a CRA. Like, what is the most important advice for monitoring visit preparation and conduct of monitoring visits when you're new to being a CRA? And the first most important thing is you need to create yourself a checklist of all the things that you need to remind yourself of before you go to that site, that you need to do while you're on site, documents you need to collect while you're on site, follow-up items from previous visits. You need to have a listing of literally everything to a point where you can use this as pretty much as a checklist when you're on site. Now, this sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but there's no way on earth that you are going to be able to remember literally everything that you need to do during a monitoring visit. Remember every follow-up item at this visit, obviously. Remember every single topic you wanted to discuss with the site. So you need to create yourself a checklist, and you want to review the obvious things from the protocol requirements to your monitoring plan that you have for CRAs monitoring this study, to a trip report template, so looking at a blank trip report and looking through all those questions, looking through your monitoring visit SOP and checking everything that your SOP says needs to be done at a monitoring visit. Maybe if you're working for a sponsor client within a CRO role, then you also need to cross-reference that sponsor's SOP for monitoring visits. But you know what documents explain what you need to do, and now it's up to you as a CRA to go through all those documents and pluck out every single thing that you are expected to do and put it into a checklist, and then sort the checklist so you can really work with it. But in a first step, you can just drop everything in there and then you sort out the whole thing, and then you got yourself a nice checklist from the most mundane things, such as don't forget to sign the visit log that you actually showed up for this monitoring visit, down to what are all the open follow-up items at this site. Pull them into this list and have them with you when you're on site. So if you're under the impression, because everybody else who's a CRA is so super smart and they've all done these trainings and now they just know all these things and they can go on site and just wing it, not a chance. Right from the get-go, just accept the fact we're all smart in this industry. It's complex no matter what branch you're in, and being a CRA just as much. It's just super complex. There's way too much stuff that you are supposed to be doing during a monitoring visit for you to really, especially when you're new, memorize all that stuff while you're then on site doing something, and then you'll be distracted, and then some timeline has to change because the PI is only available now and not 2 hours from now as we had initially planned, or the pharmacy has some issues, or stuff always goes sideways, and you still gotta be able to fall back onto, I know about everything that I'm supposed to do. I know about the status of everything that I'm supposed to do during this monitoring visit. And the only way you're going to be able to do that and stay sane is by having a complete checklist. So as I mentioned, that's going to be a lot of work. Yeah, it's going to take hours to put together this list. But first of all, you then have a template that you can reuse at every other site on this study. And secondly, when you're on site, this just gives you the peace of mind of knowing that you've done this work pretty much on the front end when you created this tool, and now on site you can rely on this tool. You know that if everything in this list is taken care of and has been done by you, that everything has been taken care of and you've done everything that you're expected to do. So again, A lot of work pulling all that information together, but that takes you maybe one day, and after that day, for the rest of the study that you're doing monitoring visits, you have this template you can use where you know these are literally all the requirements. And of course, maybe in your first version, you then go on site and notice that you overlooked something that should have been on the list. Update the list, update your template. Next monitoring visits, it's going to be on your list, whatever that one item was that you had forgotten to put on the list at first. So that is, I hope, a helpful tip to you, because you might be under this wrong impression after all these trainings that every CRA is like a super brain and can just stay on top of it. And that is not at all the case. We have very few actual superheroes in this job. Most of the CRAs I've met are actual human beings, and we all have limited bandwidth and a limited capacity of what we can keep in our minds. And that is why it's so important to create tools that put all that into a tool and thereby free you up, so that when you're on site and you have a complete checklist and you get to a certain point where now, let's say, you can actually get to source data verification, that you can actually focus on this one task 100%, because you're not also in the back of your mind trying to keep an oversight over the entire visit and what you're doing right now. But since it's on your checklist, you got to this point now, SDV, you put your checklist aside and now you do SDV with 100% focus on what you're doing. When you're done with that, you can go back to your checklist and see what's next. And as long as you've gone through all those documents, the protocol, the monitoring plan, your SOP for monitoring visits, you've looked at a blank trip report, all the questions they're going to ask you, perhaps some sponsor SOPs, work instructions, as long as you've gone through all those documents giving you the requirements and you've extracted everything and put it into that one checklist for you as a CRA on this one study, then you have that checklist with you and you don't have to worry about forgetting something. Or if you run out of time, especially when you're new to being a CRA and things just take longer, at least this list then also lets you to quickly check which things should have been done and what is the most important one of these tasks that I can still get done in the remaining time that I actually have on site today. So it helps you prioritize. If you notice, okay, I'm not going to be able to do everything, then if you have a complete checklist, you can take 2 minutes, look through your checklist, and then identify, okay, what's the most important out of these things, and I'll complete that before I leave the site. And that lets you, of course, explain why certain tasks were not done, because you prioritized something else that was, in fact, the most important thing. And yeah, so it helps you on many, many fronts. And especially it takes this worry off your plate that you have done the trainings and now you should be able to just go out on site with your laptop and a pen and notepad and should be able to just rock this monitoring visit. That is not going to happen. Way too much stuff. Put it on a list. And if basically allowing you to do this with this video is what it took, then I'm happy I put it out there, because again, put it on a list and make your life easier for yourself. Nobody expects you to be a superhero and remember everything, but everybody will expect you to have taken care of everything and to have prioritized accordingly if there was stuff that you could not get done during that monitoring visit. Okay, that's it for today. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. And of course, in the comments section, please let me know if there's any topics you would like the CRA coach to talk about here on the channel. Okay, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.